Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. It's Wednesdays, and it is time for Wednesdays with Will. And today I am here to talk about my thoughts of Othello. And before we get into the play, I just want to reiterate my pure, burning, undying hatred for mass market paperbacks. Unfortunately, I can't find the trade paperback of this book. I am still looking. I hope to one day replace this copy. But I really did not like the experience of reading a mass market paperback. But that is neither here nor there. So Othello is a play that I had not previously read, but I had previously seen many, many years ago. Like 30 years ago. So I remembered the basics of the play, but not the details. So it was fun to dive back in and get to the details. I have a spoiler disclaimer at the beginning of this video, and I am going to spoil this. So, because the plot is pretty straightforward. We've had a couple plays in the past where the plot is not straightforward, and I can't even start to, like Cymbeline. I couldn't even. I was like, no, the video is going to be 45 minutes long. The plot to Othello was pretty straightforward. So it starts when Othello promotes a man named Cassio to his lieutenant position. And another guy, Iago, thinks that should have been his promotion. So Iago goes after revenge. And the way he goes for revenge is that Othello has just married the lovely Desdemona, for whom he is just deeply, deeply in love. And Iago starts to plant little kernels of the idea in Othello's mind that Cassio is having an affair with Desdemona. And he just very skillfully gets this to grow and grow and grow until he pushes Othello into madness. Othello gets to the point where he orders Iago to kill Cassio, and he himself smothers Desdemona. And then at that point, Desdemona's maid is Emilia, who is Iago's wife, who is she is an accomplice, an unwitting accomplice to all this. She doesn't know what her husband's doing, but there's a piece of evidence in this, which is a handkerchief. And I also call this play The Tale of the Overly Consequential Handkerchief, where it's a handkerchief that Othello gave Emilia, or Desdemona. She dropped it. Emilia picked it up. Iago said, "Here, give it to me." And then he planted it in Cassio's room. And it's like, yeah. It's all very Mean Girl-ish. It really is. This is like Mean Girl stuff. Emilia comes in, she finds that her mistress is dead, and the whole idea of the handkerchief comes up. And at this point, she tells Othello, "You're wrong. This is not what happened. She was true." And then Othello goes, and then they bring Iago in, and Iago's like, "Haha, yeah, I told him this." And then he kills Emilia because, whatever. He did not kill Cassio, but read the play to find out about that. And then Othello kills himself, and Iago is sent off to be tortured. The play itself is pretty straightforward, and I think that Shakespeare does really well with very straightforward plots. And because the plot of this play is so straightforward, this is an actor's play. I was a theater kid, and reading this, I was like, these are the juiciest roles I have read in Shakespeare. They are just like, you would die to play some of these roles. Even Emilia, which is not that big of a character, is definitely a supporting character, is a fantastic role. There's so many monologues and so many opportunities for not just the words to develop these characters, but also enough room for the actors to also develop their characters. So I really enjoyed this play. I really enjoyed reading it. There were a couple things about it. Actually, let me go through my ratings and we'll do this. So if you haven't watched this before, I have a sort of rating system for the Shakespeare plays as I read them. And I'm basing this off the podcast All About Agatha, where they rated all of Agatha Christie's novels. I have several different categories where I rate 1 to 5. That will give me a subtotal. And then I have a final category, which is of its time, things that don't age well, where 1 to 5, but I deduct that. It gives me a number, and then that goes into my rankings. So for Othello, overall, I gave this 4 out of 5. And I will get to the reasons why it wasn't a 4.5 or 5. You've got to be a pretty amazing, I'll be honest. It's going to be really hard for a play to get a 5, because my favorite play is Twelfth Night, and I gave that a 4.5 just to give it a little bit of room. So it's going to have to be a better play than Twelfth Night. This one probably, if I were doing quarter points, I'd give this a 4.25, but we're going to keep it at a 4. And the reputation, this is how well is this play known? And as I've said every time, there's like 3 or 4 plays that are going to get 5 out of here. Hamlet, Macbeth, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Those are, those are the ones that are probably going to get a 5. This one gets a 4.5. I think people know Othello. If you say, Othello, you know it's a Shakespeare play. And I think that people, there are productions of it that are fairly widely seen. I know there was a very classic production with James Earl Jones as Othello, which I would love to see. I believe it is on YouTube, but I don't know. I'll have to check that out. The next category I have is ease. Now, this is a category that next month in December, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to reevaluate my rankings. And I am most likely going to get rid of this category because plays have been getting easier for me to read, but I don't know if that's because the plays themselves are easier or because I'm better at it. So I don't really feel that as of right now, this is a fair qualification. But for right now, because I have used it so far, I'm going to continue it and then we'll reevaluate. And I gave this a 4 out of 5. And then we have characters. How compelling are the characters? As I said, this is an actor's play. These characters are just juicy. I think Iago is probably the best villain I have ever read in literature. He is so conniving and there's he's not like a monster or an ogre where like evil. They're in the evil category. There's a kernel of something very dark in him and it just blossoms as the play goes on. But then also you have Othello and you watch him, you can actually see him start to descend into madness. You watch Desdemona and Cassio. Well, Cassio's an interesting character because he's very involved in this, but he doesn't know about it. He's like, what's going on here? I don't know. And Desdemona too, although Desdemona knows more of this something because her husband's accusing her of adultery. She's like, what is going on here? You have Emilia, who she is what I call the Judi Dench character of this play. She is the strong, no-nonsense woman who's going to tell you how it is. Great characters. I gave this a 4.5. That is the highest rating I have given to a play for characters. And then we have poetry. So the poetry is how the language of this goes. And it's also like, are there things that everyone knows from this? And there are phrases that come from this play that everybody knows, like crocodile tears, that comes up in this play. But my favorite, because I am that person, my favorite comes from Act 1, Scene 1, where Iago says, let's see, Desdemona's father is wondering where Desdemona is. And he's like, oh, Desdemona married Othello. And Iago says, I am one, sir, that comes to tell you your daughter and the Moor are now making the beast with 2 backs. There you go. Like any play that give you making the beast with 2 backs is in there. There are some very memorable lines in here. And as I said, crocodile tears, the beast of 2 backs. These are things that have kind of gone into our common parlance. So this also got 4.5 stars there. And the would I see this? Definitely. So this one is 5. I will travel to see this play. And 1 is you could not pay me to see this play. This gets a 4. I would definitely go anywhere in the Portland, Oregon area, or if I am in some other area, anywhere around to see Othello if it were playing. I probably wouldn't travel out of my area to see it, but I definitely would see a local production of it. I have mentioned this before. My bookish best friend and I have season tickets to Portland Center Stage, and each year one of their plays is a Shakespeare play. This year it's Twelfth Night, so maybe next year it's Othello. I would be so happy if it were Othello, but we'll see. That gives me a subtitle of 25.5 points. That is the highest that it has gotten. Now we get to the Of Its Time. I did give this 2 points for Of Its Time because there are a few moments in this where comments are made about Othello's race and being an indicator of darkness, of evil, of something. So there is a slight racial element to this play, which is a little uncomfortable. Probably not, I mean, it wasn't an issue back then, but to modernize, that's probably a little bit of an issue. So I did give this 2 points, which brings us to 23.5 points. So after 1 year of the Bard Room, we have read 10 plays. We're going to see how they all rank. And I was going to pull all my plays, but it's a big pile over there, so we're not going to do that. In 10th place, I have The Winter's Tale, which was the first play we read, and it will probably stay in last place. It's the more I think about it and the more I read into Shakespeare, the less I like The Winter's Tale. 9th place, we have Love's Labour's Lost, which is a perfectly fine play. It's just one of those where I think it didn't age especially well, not because there's anything in it that's offensive, but because the humor of it is such that we just don't recognize it anymore. So the success of it as a play depends more on the performers and the direction than the actual play itself. It's more of a frame for performance than a play that stands on its own at this age, this point in time. In 8th place, I have Cymbeline, which, as I said earlier in this video, is a very complicated play, but it's crazy. And it's like, I don't know, wow, I don't know what's going to happen next in this play, but I'm going to wait and see. It has everything. It's a kitchen sink play. So while it definitely had an entertaining value, it was still a kitchen sink play. It's hard to get around that. In 7th, and this is an interesting one. This is The Merchant of Venice. Now, I really love The Merchant of Venice. However, that last category, the of its time, this play really took a hit there. It's, you know, the more I think about whether or not it is anti-Semitic, I think that in modern eyes, we would see it as anti-Semitic. Shakespeare time, it would be anti-Semitic, because I do think that Shakespeare is trying to argue for the rights of Jewish people, that they are human like everybody else, you know, do I not bleed, those sorts of things. But there's enough other context in that play around that, both ways, that make it hard to get out of that anti-Semitism with modern eyes, which is why that took such a hit in that last category. Then I have my counts are a little bit off. I have in the 6th place, I have a tie. There we go. I think this is right. And it's a very weird tie. And this tie will probably be broken when I reevaluate my ratings. But the first one is Coriolanus, which is a very political play set in the Roman Empire. It's a very interesting play to read at our current moment in time, but it is very political. And then it is tied with The Merry Wives of Windsor, which is a sex play, basically. It was written because Queen Elizabeth I really liked the character of Falstaff. So he wrote a play just about Falstaff, and it's a lot of sex jokes. So it seems really weird to me that those two would be tied. Okay, I think I fixed my numbering. So now we're at 4th place. And the 4th place play is the one we did last month, which is The Tempest. I really enjoyed The Tempest. I think it's a fun, sort of magical play. I think it's a very accessible play. Some of the humor in it was not to my personal preference. So a lot of this is just preference with The Tempest. There's a lot of drunk humor, and that ages, I shouldn't say ages, that doesn't last long with me. I get very bored or very kind of tired of drunk humor. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it isn't my kind of humor. So that one kind of, it's a preference thing, although generally I really do like the play. And then we have in 3rd place, we have Henry IV Part 1. And this really surprised me that it comes up this high, but I quite enjoyed it. It is a history. It is, I believe, where we're introduced to Falstaff. So Falstaff is, a very large character in it, but this is, a king and his son who just wants to party. That's pretty much what it is. And a sort of coming of age of Prince Henry, who does become Henry V. I quite enjoyed it. It also gave us the phrase, "the game's afoot," which I did not know. I thought was from Sherlock Holmes, but no, it's from Henry IV's Part 1. And then we have a tie for 1st place. In 1st place, I have Twelfth Night, which is my favorite play. We did it 2 months ago, and I will be seeing it next month. with Portland Center Stage. This was also the play that I saw the Royal Shakespeare Company do when I was in England for summer term. So it has a very sentimental place in my heart. But the other one is Othello. Othello is up there with Twelfth Night. I was actually, when I put the numbers together, I was like, wow, Othello really did. You know, kind of broke my heart that The Merchant of Venice is ranked so low, but I do think that's justified. But really, Othello was, yes, I think it's worthy to be tied with number one. So yeah, those are the plays that we have done in 2024. Again, so in December, we don't do a play, but I'm going to be doing a couple things in December. I'm going to be reevaluating my rankings, which part of that will probably be taking that ease category out and seeing how the numbers all fall out. And also, now that I have time between reading some of these plays, maybe reevaluating what really stuck with me, what didn't stick with me, because I usually do these rankings right after I finish reading it. So if we give it a little time, does that change? I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to, I am behind on seeing some productions of some of the plays we have. I will be seeing Twelfth Night. So that wasn't really a priority for me to see a production of Twelfth Night the month we read it, because I knew I was going to be seeing one in December, but I still need to see Othello. I still need to see The Tempest and Cymbeline. And Cymbeline I'm going to try. I've been having trouble finding a good production of Cymbeline to see. There is a production with Helen Mirren that I could see. The problem is the video quality of it that I have through the streaming service is not good. It's very hard, the physical act of watching it, which isn't really physical, but you know what I mean. That just the act of watching it is difficult. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a production of Cymbeline to see, but definitely Othello, definitely The Tempest. What else do I need to see? I think that's it. Twelfth Night I will be seeing. So those are some of the things I'm going to be concentrating on in December. And then we will choose a play also in December for January. As a refresher, we do plays. Well, the original plan was we do plays January, February, March, April, June, July, August, September, October, November. So we take May and December off. However, we have decided to, instead of doing a play in April, which is Poetry Month, we will be doing one of Shakespeare's longer, he has 2 longer works of poetry, so we'll be doing one of those. Also, we have already decided that June of next year, we will be doing a Midsummer Night's Dream. Because when I drew whatever play it was in June this month, we were like, oh, we should have done a Midsummer Night's Dream. And I said, well, I can hold it for next year. So we will be doing that. So anyway, stay tuned. And as always, if you would like to join us, on my Discord, I have a thread called The Bard Room. That's where we discuss all this stuff. You can also discuss it in comments. You get a faster response on Discord because I'm always behind on comments. I'm sorry. And we would just love to have you on Discord. But anyway, we would love to have you join us. You don't need to read every play. Just if you want to pop in and pop out as you would like, that is perfectly fine. So like, subscribe, join my Discord, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.